As far as dates go, I can't recall exactly when missionaries were first sent to Indonesia. I know periodically throughout the history of the church, we have had missionaries there, and there's been periods where missionaries have not been sent to Indonesia for specific reasons. But while I was there, I would say it varied between 60 and 80 missionaries, if I'm not wrong. And generally, it's a pretty even split down the middle from Indonesian missionaries serving in their own country and foreign missionaries. Most from the United States. While I was there were a few Australians as well. And as far as area goes for the church, the main island that the church is established on is called Java. And that's where, when I was there at least, that's where all the areas for missionaries were, except for two. There's one area on Sulawesi, it's called Manado, and there's one other area called Medan. It's on the island Sumatra. So other than on Java, there were only two areas. It may have since expanded. I'm not 100% sure. But my understanding of that is the church wants to grow where it already is before they start spreading out to, various islands, which makes sense. But Java is predominantly Muslim. Indonesia is actually the highest population of Muslims in the world, and Java is very Muslim. So that's where the church is at. While I was there, I actually, during my 2 years there, the first two stakes were organized, which is really cool to see that sort of progress in the church in such a Muslim-dominated country. So mostly on Java is where the missionaries are located at, with those two other areas that I mentioned earlier. As far as the work goes, missionary work itself, proselyting, I never knocked a door on my mission. It's not allowed. The government, I believe, has asked that the church respects their wishes, that we don't just openly go knocking on people's doors, which is fine. There's still, you can do missionary work in a lot of other ways. Generally, I've heard people say it's a non-proselyting mission. In order to find people, you can talk to anybody. My mission president always told us, you can talk to anybody you see on the streets, on the bus, in a taxi. Anybody you can talk to, you can approach them and strike up a conversation. Generally, you don't want to go up and just blatantly say, we're missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ, we'd like to share a message, because that's a little too forward, especially assuming that person's going to be Muslim. So you can talk to anybody. Indonesians are very friendly in general, especially to foreigners. They'll be very curious as to why you're there, what your purpose is. And once they start asking you questions in return, that opens up the opportunity for you to say why you're there. We're missionaries. We're serving in various ways, teaching people about our religion. We do a lot of humanitarian service in Indonesia as well. So you can talk to anybody. There are limitations on how forward you can be, who you can openly proselyte to, but you can try and talk to anybody you want. And then judging by their response, you then decide whether or not to kind of delve deeper into why we're there as far as religious reasons go. That's one thing that's really fun about serving in Indonesia, is you have to be creative. A lot of missionaries, you talk to Peter, I'm not sure how much detail he went to, but in one of the areas he served in, he started this huge service project where they went to some zoo and started doing service there. Like, totally random. I've never heard of anybody doing that, but it's a way to get the church's name out there and for people to see, essentially, we're there to serve. We're doing Christ-like service, helping people regardless of whether or not they're already Christian or they're going to accept our message. You're doing service. So you have to get creative. Like I said, he went to some zoo and coordinated with them to have the missionaries go there once a week and provide service. They met a lot of people that way. There's a lot of service out in the community that we did, cleaning parks, streets. Indonesia is a gorgeous country, but there's a lot of trash, unfortunately. They don't really take care of it. Well, I don't want to say they don't take care of it, but there's just a lot of trash that can be picked up. Just simple things like that. You go out, we have those yellow Mormon helping hands vests on, and people see these foreigners cleaning their parks or their streets. They're pretty amazed, actually, to see that there's someone humble enough, someone who cares enough to do that sort of service for them, and that opens up a lot of doors. Whether or not someone ends up getting baptized or not, sometimes yeah, sometimes not, but they know what the church is, they know why we're there, and they really respect that. So yeah, a lot of humanitarian service. I know a lot of the senior couples are assigned to do kind of bigger projects like clean water projects. While I was there was a fire in a village near Jakarta that it was crazy. It burned down, I don't know how many hundreds of houses. People were homeless. All their possessions, the little that they had, were just burned and completely gone. And a mission couple was assigned to do that, and we had tons of donations coming in for supplies, emergency kits, food, water. The missionaries helped out with that. I know in the past there's been a lot of natural disasters, volcanoes, earthquakes, things like that, tsunamis, and the church plays a big role in helping out with that as well. So as far as service goes, there's plenty of opportunity there. One more thing about service I forgot, this is actually a big part, is English, teaching English. Every area the missionaries serve in, there's an English class at least once a week. Generally, it's held at the church, and depending on the city, the classes vary in size and how often, but that's a good way. I know there's been quite a bit of success on letting people know about the church, building relationships with people in the community that way. Even depending on how far they go with investigating the church, I'm not sure, but it's a good way to get to know people, provide service. It's really fun. They love talking to foreigners and learning about what the United States is like, or Australia, wherever you're from. So that's a big one, is teaching English.